So let's start with Virginia. Now, Virginia was very, very important in 2021. When Glenn Youngkin won that governorship over Terry McAuliffe in 2021, people thought that was a really, really bad sign for Democrats nationally. And they had good reason to think that. Normally, when the Virginia governorship goes to the party out of power, that's a sign for a very, very strong midterm. But when the midterm election came along, Glenn Youngkin's victory was not a bellwether for anything, right? So now this test in Virginia is, can Glenn Youngkin, a moderate Republican, at least at his face, be able to carry over Virginia and Virginia Republicans into power? So what he really wanted to do was flip the state Senate and hold on to his majority in the Virginia House of Delegates. Now, the flipping the state Senate was going to be difficult. The way that the lines are drawn, it was always going to be hard. But they had a pretty great shot at holding on to the House of Delegates. And Glenn Youngkin promised that if he won the House of Delegates and he won the state Senate, he would institute a 15-week abortion limit. And what's interesting about this race is Glenn Youngkin really changed the language on abortion stuff. He dropped the word restriction. He dropped the word ban. He said, we're doing an abortion limit. And that was kind of a battle test of how Republicans can handle this issue going forward in 2024. And what we saw is it didn't work out that well.
No, not at all.
We saw the Democrats hold on to their Senate majority, and flip the House of Delegates. So now the Democrats control both chambers of the Virginia legislature. This is not what Glenn Youngkin wanted. It's not what the Republicans expected either.
No, and it's interesting because of Glenn Youngkin's potential presidential hopes in the future.
Yes.
It's a well-known secret that he's been eyeing a run. He was probably considering running in 2024, but if not, with an eye on 2028. And he was hoping that he could build up his resume by flipping both of these legislatures to red, and now that's kind of out the window.
Exactly. Now he's kind of tainted as not a loser, because he didn't lose that bad, and I don't want to frame it as Virginia Democrats had this amazing 10 out of 10 blockbuster night. Virginia Democrats had a 6 out of 10 night. They had a good night. They flipped the House of Delegates. That's great, but they only flipped it by like one seat. They only held on to the Senate by one seat. They didn't even perform as well as Joe Biden performed in 2020, not even close, So they did well, no doubt, but it's not like Democrats had a blockbuster night in Virginia. It's just not true. Glenn Youngkin went on TV last night during the elections, and he said that he would not nominate Donald Trump before the end of the Republican primary. So he's still holding out hope that it won't be Trump, which is just such a lost cause at this point.
I wonder if he's holding out hope, just trying to appeal more to what he sees as a more middling voter base.
Yeah.
I think maybe paying attention to all the polls that say voters hate both Trump and Biden.
Yeah, and we'll get into that because that information came in throughout the night, and God, they hate both of them, man.
Yeah.
God, I hate both of them.
Absolutely.
One race I want to call into attention is Susanna Gibson in House District 57. She made kind of headlines because, she ended up losing, but it was one of the closest races in the House of Delegates. As of a couple minutes ago, the Republican has flipped it from Susan Gibson's lead, and now the Republican has taken the seat. So that was the Democrats' chance of expanding that 51 majority to a 52. That's gone now. So that's kind of what's going down in Virginia. Overall, good night for Democrats, not blockbuster.